Right, good afternoon from the UK with a cup of tea. Yum yum. I'm going to try and restart this live stream because something went very oddly wrong the first time. We didn't get any sound. Um, what I want to do is illustrate how to create uh, some ostinatos in Monday's episode of Music Mondays. So I want to do a demo, and it can't be too long because I'm trying to keep those episodes like 15-20 minutes. Last week it went over to like 30 minutes with everything that was included, so I'm really trying to keep the time down. So this is me trying out what we could do. So if I want to show how to create string ostinatos, I think an ensemble patch is an obvious place to start, and then break it down quickly into maybe BBCSO. Right, we have sound now. That's better. Okay, so obviously an ostinato is a repeating pattern or rhythm. I think strings is probably the most common use. And the point is, you do not want to be learning to do a string ostinato when somebody says, can you do a string ostinato? You want to have practiced this before. So on an ensemble patch like album 1, something like that. So all I'm doing, D, A, D, G, D, F. I think that is probably relatively simple. 20 is probably a tad slow. If you've got any ideas, do feel free to stick them in the chat, but I'm trying to do this in like 20 minutes or so. Maybe. I suppose it will be important in the actual demo to point out that I'm actually accenting certain notes there. Let's try recording that in. How did I do on hitting the notes? Not too bad. Okay, now I've quantized that to 100% strength, which if you were doing this properly, you would, well, I would probably, apart from the first note, to make sure it hits the beginning of the bar, I would probably be doing this at like 70, 80 quantized strength. If you're new to this, obviously quantizing to the beat will be useful. I'm going to label these up as we go because I'm going to end up using this file for the demo, I think. So it is a string ensemble. There we go. So as an example, we could do this. Now, would I want to go into doing the accents as well? Possibly. Because you wouldn't play exactly the same notes. You would use another lower instrument to accent some of them. Okay. Something like that. So that's another ostinato, bass ostinato, that complements top ostinato. So that one was staccato stroke spiccato, depending on how it was hit. What do I do? Octaves? Possibly, yes. Definitely not as long, so. That's pretty good. That's an example for doing it with an ensemble patch. So literally, so I'm deliberately playing these low, and the other one's higher, even though it's the same pattern with different articulations. But these are doing high notes, these are doing low notes. I think that's quite a nice example for a breakdown. Then we can do a more in-depth example with BBCSO as to how you would add, again, stick with spiccatos for the highs. I should probably stick to the same pattern as well. In fact, let's mute those off. A bit low. And I really should have fired up Logic Pro first. Logic Remote, sorry. Make things a whole lot easier. Here we go. Perfect. Now, you just press the button to go up an octave. Now, even though those are quantized to the grid, because it is a more in-depth library, it sounds slightly off. But what you would probably expect to do in this situation is actually double with violins too. So let's get these puppies in. Now, if you were doing this properly in depth, you would want to be going in and adjusting all these note values exactly so that they line up. But because we've now got the combination of violins 1 and 2, they do sort of merge together. Let's give it a pretty picture while we're here. In fact, what I'm going to end up having to do is actually give Albion 1 a, well, from my point of view, they're going to have to be a different colour. Otherwise, I am going to confuse myself. Right, so BBCSO is now green. There we go. If I was writing this, I was going to use this, I might now think about a viola line. Maybe again in spiccato, because I know I'm going to keep the rhythm, but maybe change the notes. We put over the top. Something like that. That's pretty good. So those are all spiccato lines. I would then probably think let's add a cello, but this is going to be accenting notes. So instead of using spiccato, I'm going to go to staccato, and I'm going to anticipate that this is going to be doubled in the bass as well. So we do the same as we did with Albion 1. Although should I just leave the harmony changing, or I do a bass change? Maybe that's getting overly complicated. I think leaving the viola change on its own is probably the way forward there. So like I said, I would double that with the basses. Staccato again. That was viola, spiccato, harmony. If I don't label these, I'm going to forget. I come to record this. and that was chili staccato. This is base staccato. So what I'm going to do is copy that down, grab all the notes, press down 12 on Logic Remote. Okay, so that's horribly balanced, isn't it? Well, the way I would go about this normally is get all the strings into a summing stack or whatever is equivalent in other DAWs. I would get a rough mix idea together. You can really hear the difference between the V1s and 2s, can't you? Much more sort of gritty attack on that. It's brilliant the way they've sort of double recorded in different ways. That bass is still coming through quite loud. Now, I'm not going to go back on last week's video and start EQing everything, although some might say that would be a good idea. How am I going to illustrate that this is BBC SO? Or maybe I just put a folder icon on it and call it BBC SO. Sum. Because it is a summing stack. Right, what else would I want to show? Because obviously, I mean, I've been going 23 minutes just trying to work it out at the moment, and I've got about probably give myself 10 minutes to go through everything. Question is, does that sound any better? Well, luckily, yes. Is it worth showing? So on a summing stack, obviously you can have your audio effects. Let's see what we had a bit of. Or this might be a bit too over the top. Yep. Quite nice. So yeah, you are applying the effect to all the strings, whether you do that there or in the master. I don't think that's worth going into. Oh, there is another technique I quite like, and this is literally where you duplicate So this is a second copy. So take, say, one of the spiccato sounds, and then what you do is drag them all over by a 16th, and you get a sort of an echo effect, as you'll. I just solo these two now. Can be a bit overbearing, so you do have to watch the levels. But a bit like you might do with the guitar. I don't know what this is going to sound like. It might be absolutely terrible. That could make you a bit dizzy. But when you mix it in with everything else, let's hear it with it on and off. Really sort of, it's an interesting way to actually accent that main line. I quite like that. Now, if I'm encouraging people to create these, is it worth showing adding to a loop library? So creating your own. I know that's a silly name for it, but you would say you can set it was in D minor-ish. It is orchestral. It is for strings. It is for violin. It's clean. Yeah, I suppose grooving, intense, and just showing people that then you can have. There you go. And it will adapt to the key. So it's actually adapted to C major because I didn't change the main key there. Ugh, that sounds quite. It is weird when it pitch stretches stuff. But yeah, this is kind of the entire point of the demo, is to get people to create some of their own ostinato patterns and save them. You know, don't wait until you need an ostinato pattern to go and learn how to create them by watching a video like this. That could be put you in a sticky situation. Also on Monday's episode, I am going to run through what an ostinato is and some examples. So Back in Black. There you go. That's a good guitar ostinato to start a song. A bit more interesting than Bolero. Also rhythmic ostinato as a good example. So yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to show it, is doing an ensemble patch with Albion 1 and breaking it out for the BBC SO. What was I going to do? I was going to colour them and I was going to name them sensibly. Right, I'm going to save that because that's what I'm going to use to record. If you would like to leave any comments, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. Um, the channel. But if you'd like to leave any comments before I record this in a couple of days, do put them in there. What have I missed? Is there something else obvious? I thought about trying to show the arpeggiator, but I think that could almost be an entire episode on its own. So I think doing it this way probably the quickest. And I probably won't leave these notes in. I will probably do it live so people can actually see playing it in. Well, I might hide them off to the side just in case I need them. That's going to do it for me for spilling my ideas on how to illustrate ostinatos and to encourage people to get them working. Catch you next time. Bye for now.